moving on to Arsenal now, to be fair, because it's a bit of a strange game. 1-1 at the Emirates, Brighton. Obviously Raheem Sterling in the stands, new number 30 is right there. What went wrong, man? Was it just the fact that the 10 men, the Declan Rice red card changed the game, or was it just something that tactically was wrong from the start?
It's the same old with Arsenal. That's the thing, and this is why I've been calling for different type of players to what we have. We don't have game winners in our team. Like the way Arsenal win games is a collective, is a team effort. And I've always said if you cut the supply of certain players, or if you stop certain players from playing, Arsenal have nothing
Mm.
because they don't have a game winner in their team. And you look at the difference between the Havertz chance and Haaland chances. Haaland, if Haaland is in that same Havertz position, he puts that away. Look at the goals he scored against West Ham. Look at the goals he scored in the week prior where he scored his hat trick. And that's the issue. I've said Havertz goal was a good finish, but it was made easy because the keeper came out. And I've always said when you don't make the chances easy for Havertz, what does he have? And the answer to that is not very much in front of goal. And then it's the same with our wingers. We don't have clinical wingers, and I've always complained about that. In terms of you look at Liverpool, where the goals came from, goal from Salah, 2 goals from Luis Diaz. And even when Mane was there, these guys get you 20 plus goals a season or goals in the crucial moments in a game when you need it. We don't have that with Arsenal, with the Arsenal players. As much as people love Saka, I mean, we said Saka isn't the type of player that's going to win you game after game. It's not going to happen. Erdegaard, once again, isn't decisive enough. I compare it to De Bruyne hit the post twice in the City games. And I looked at it and said, if that's Odegaard in those positions, he doesn't shoot
Mm.
because he's not decisive enough. And then we have a problem on the left wing is that when Trossard starts, he's not as effective. And then Martinelli, just for me, just isn't a good player. And so this was a game where Arsenal were 1-0 up, defended badly, conceded a goal, but didn't have anything to come back into the game. And I'm complaining. My biggest issue with Arsenal is this: Arsenal are very good front runners, so they take the lead. They kind of know how to control the game. The issue you have with Arsenal is when they're pulled back. So when they're 1-0 behind, or maybe there's an equaliser, they struggle to get their rhythm again and try and go for a goal, which is why. Which is the issue. And I've always complained about our players also, our front players. They rarely score more than 1 goal a game. If you go back and check the record, we rarely score more than 1 goal a game. So this game doesn't surprise me because it's the same tactics Arteta's been employing over the last 2 years. And some games it works and some games it's not going to work. And I mentioned earlier, we won against Villa, but we were very lucky against Villa. Because I think if Villa take the lead, we don't win that game. We only won that game
Yeah.
because of the chances that Villa missed. And that tells me we're not decisive enough in the final third. And that's the reason why I've called for signings in terms of a different type of winger. A striker's imperative because a striker wins you games. And you see that with City. Look what we're competing against.
Yeah.
Haaland gets them those goals and look at the difference that makes. We have just a game winner who can get you goals out of nothing and alleviate
Mm.
that pressure for you. Arsenal don't have that, so they're still relying on everything being built up by a team kind of functioning together. If you break down the function of that team, Arsenal have very little. And that game
Yeah.
showed because I said this. I tweeted, I said, if that's City or that's Liverpool of old, because obviously we're still seeing what this new Liverpool side is like. If that's City or Liverpool of old, even though they go down to 10 men, they still put Brighton to the sword. We've seen it many times. The difference with Arsenal, they just don't have enough when there's that kind of setback. And so that result definitely didn't surprise me. I was like, it's typical Arsenal, things don't function well. We're not going to get the 3 points. But this is for me is where the frustrations of our transfer business annoys me because
Yeah.
we're competing against a ridiculous team of City who have won. I don't even know how many titles in the last. I think it's like 6 in the last 7 years, something as ridiculous as that. And Arsenal felt that, oh, we have enough to compete against that team who you've fallen short in the last 2 seasons. It's just ridiculous. And then I'll quickly touch upon the sending off quickly. I'll just spend about a minute. For me personally, it's the most ridiculous decision I've seen. Right? And here's the reason why. I'm not saying for the reasons why I was saying. I think what it shows is that there's a difference between a good referee and an average referee. Because an average referee
Mhm.
doesn't apply common sense or wisdom where it needs to be when applying the rules. they just apply the rules anyhow. Because I'm not being funny. First and foremost, Veltman doesn't even make an attempt to kick that ball. Because if you look at how high his foot goes, he's going straight for Declan Rice, first and foremost. Secondly, it's like the faintest of touches. The ball goes like a yard from Declan Rice. So it isn't as if like he's kicked it away. So for me, a sensible referee or an exceptional referee will say, you know what, I'm going to bring you both, have a word with you, give you a warning. Because it, for me, it's not the kind of offence that warrants a second yellow card. And I think that's where wisdom needs to be applied. Yes, they can cover themselves and say, yes, we're applying the letter of the rule. Well, that's fair. You use wisdom when you're applying the rule, which is why, for instance, for handball, not every handball is a handball. You assess it and you use wisdom to decide, okay, is this worth, let's say this is a box, is this worth a penalty? Is it not worth a penalty? It goes with the same in the challenge or what happened there. Use wisdom. And I think the referee there just didn't use wisdom when making that decision. And for me, this is why we have so many bang average referees in this league, because they don't apply wisdom with their decisions. And then they go back to say, oh, the rules support what they do, support the decision they make. But for me, I'm just like, it's poor refereeing. That's exactly what it is. But it is what it is. We move on. I personally don't think Arsenal will win the league after watching that game and after watching the Villa game, to be honest.
It's like a pettiness, isn't it? It's like a petty yellow card.
Yeah,
it's like imagine going to like a food outlet and going to get a burger or something, taking a bite out of it and find the hair and like, oh, take it back. They took a bite out of it now. You know what I'm saying?
That's
you're not getting your money back. You took a bite.
That's up there with the squatter comparisons there. But no, I agree. I think it was one of those where the referee could clearly say, "Look, listen, I know what you're doing, but don't do it." Do you know what I mean? For me, that's what I would have done. If you apply a bit of common sense, like you said, a bit of like wisdom, just say to him, "Look, come here. What are you doing that for?" Like you
say this. I can understand if Declan Rice has kicked it 2-3 yards away.
He doesn't.
I can understand. Then it's like, okay, he's kicked it a distance away. Then I was like, okay, but it's barely gone what 50 centimeters.
He brushed his foot. I'm going to bring Kojo in because I know Kojo disagrees with what we're saying because I can tell. You man can't see him, but I can see him. So I'm going to bring Kojo in.
Here we go. Go on, then.
I just find this pain funny. Man, also about violence from me. Get your violence out for this guy, man. Declan Rice should put himself in that situation. You know why? Because he made a very stupid foul in the first half for that stupid yellow card he got when he just lunged into a tackle that he was never going to get to. He was a bit too overexcited. So then, yes, it's a very harsh yellow card. But once you put yourself in that position, you're in trouble. That's the issue. Where you can argue, of course, about the lack of consistency is when you had a throw and João Pedro licked it all the way to Raya.
Because
then
you can be like my guy. Yeah, you can go and say my guy. You know, he did that. So why are you not booking him? I understand that part of it, but you're not going to be in that situation if you don't make such a stupid yellow card in the first sense. You know what I mean? That's where my issue was.
I agree with that, but that don't mean that you got to send him off for the second one because he made a stupid foul.
I'm not saying you have to send him off. I'm finding it funny, the pain, but I'm not saying you have to send him off. What I'm saying is,
no, you run the risk. You run the risk.
Exactly. You run the risk, and I do understand that. I don't necessarily disagree that it was quite frankly a bogus yellow card. You could have, So come on, guy. Let's not do this, please. I know it's a little sportsmanship a little bit here. You have tapped it out of the way to stop the quick free kick. I get that. Usually, players stand in front of the ball and just don't move, so you don't get to take a quick free kick.
He hasn't even stopped a quick free kick. That's what people don't realize.
Veltman
is very smart. If you watch the angle, because I watched it, if you look at how he's because usually what happens when people go to kick up. First of all, he's rolled it forward. So when people want to take a quick free kick, they don't roll it forward. That's what they put it. They stop it, and then you pass it. Secondly, where is he? And secondly,
who was he passing it to as well?
When you look at the force as to which he kicked it, where was he blasting that ball to?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he wasn't looking for a player. And then secondly, look at Kojo. When you look at how his leg is elevated, because when a person kicks a ball, it goes from low to high because you kick through the ball. His leg has gone high. So he hasn't even made an attempt to even kick the ball. And then when you look at his reaction afterwards, he knows. And it's a reaction that, oh, shoot, I'm in trouble here. Because when you look at his reaction after, he kind of knows, oh, the referee could kind of slightly send me off of this. If you look at his reaction after.
He's a bit.
That tells you he knows.
I have a bit of a different take here. I'm not gonna lie to you because from what I saw from the replays, obviously, so he rolled the ball at Declan Rice's feet. I think that's the bit that triggered Declan Rice. Like, why are you throwing the ball on my feet? Like, bit of a weird one, but whatever. So obviously he's knocked it out of the way. But when he's rolled the ball on the floor, he's looked up and listen. I've already spoken about players lacking common sense in this generation. He threw the ball forward, hit Declan Rice foot, he looked up. I don't know who he was looking up at, but he looked up past Declan Rice. He sort of put his head up like that. See me, but I'm doing my head up like this. And then he went to go and swing. Now, listen, I don't know Joe Ventman's technique in it. Me personally, I don't really care. We pick a Brighton. But as far as I'm concerned, he went for that ball. In terms of the reaction, he put his hand up like he literally went like, "Guy, what are you doing on the floor?" But he did swing through him, and I'm not gonna lie to you, he put him there. So look, he could have been something for that.
I think it was harsh.
You're gonna have to hold that. Listen, he's not playing the North London derby. So
one thing I will say though, the one thing I would say is that Arsenal should have enough to still deal with, like you said before, Arsenal should still have enough to deal with Brighton. And that's
do you know where they dropped the points? I'll be very honest. Forget about the red card for a second. Sorry, where they dropped the points was the substitutions. Because you got sent off, but I understand that you're holding midfielder, but you still got your structure of your back four. So Brian maybe building
4-4-1. Simple.
This is what I was going to say because he went three at the back. I saw three centre backs, and I was like, okay, what's you're now allowing Brighton to have possession. I've already seen with the new manager already that they're not afraid to keep the ball and find a way through your defense. So that for me was baffling because you're just looking to counter them, and they were not going to allow themselves to be counted on. It was a very baffling decision. I don't know why he went for that one, but there you go.
But I'll say this. No, this is one of my issues with Arteta because at this point I'm like 50-50 about it. I don't think tactically he's that great. I think what he does is he has a setup for like an 11 or 12. Asks Arteta to change things in the game because situational circumstances has changed. Very, very poor. Substitution making, very, very poor, personally. And I look at what Slot's doing and how he's kind of managed the team and making substitutions. And I'll say this. If Slot wins the league, for instance, they're saying this while Slot wins the league this season. What would that say about Arteta and his time at Arsenal?
That's Slot's better.
It would also put the spotlight on Arteta and make people realise he's probably not as good as what people think he is. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I'm saying the progression has been good, but then there's these final moments which kind of determine you winning things and not winning things, or you winning games and not winning games, which you always seem to kind of fall short on. And for me, it's becoming a bit of a problem.
No, I said that before. I said that I think Arteta's hit the ceiling. I don't think he can take this team or any Arsenal team. You could bring in, Isak or whoever. I don't think he's the man to take you to that next level of winning the Premier League. I just don't think he is. And I think we said in the preview that this is really his make or break. He has to either win the league or he's got to go and win something major. He's got to do something with this squad because I know you spend astronomical amounts or nothing like that on transfers, but he's had time now. He's probably had the most time in terms of the top teams, if you want to call it that.
This is his sixth season.
Exactly. So he has to do something with this squad in terms of winning the league, doing something, because you've had the longest time to mold your team to make it your team. Maresca hasn't had that. Slot hasn't had that. Ten Hag has had some time, but he hasn't had as much time as Arteta.
Hopefully he doesn't.
No, I don't think he will. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy is waiting in the rings, but I just think with Arteta, he has to do it now, and I don't think he will do it because, like we said before, he hasn't brought in the striker. He hasn't brought in Isak. He brought in Sterling, which I don't know. I think Sterling's just there because he wants to stay in London, and he wanted a move. Arsenal said, "Yeah, okay, we'll pay 100 grand." Chelsea paid 230 grand a week or whatever. I think it was just convenient for player, losing and Ketia, not really bringing in someone that you want to bring in to try and replace him as well. I think it was a bad bit. I think it was a really bad window for Arsenal. If I'm honest, I really do.
We got rid of players. I mean, we got rid of players and didn't replace. I mean, we still need the players even with what we had, but then
Yeah.
we've got rid of players and haven't kind of replaced the numbers. So in a way, we kind of have less squad depth. We do have less depth than we did last season because we just haven't. We've got rid of Smith Rowe and Ketia.
Yeah, I forgot about Smith Rowe.
Reece Nelson's gone alone.
Yeah,
We've got players like El Neni who was there. I know I barely played games, but like he's gone on a free. And these are I'm just talking purely on numbers, and then we just haven't replaced them adequately.
Worrying times, man. Worrying times. Damon, before we move off Arsenal, what do you think about Brighton? Because obviously they saw the game out. They grabbed the point at the Emirates. João Pedro, I think, got the goal. David Raya pulled off some good saves, but they still managed to find a way past him eventually. Can you see Brighton this season going on to do something in this league?
I think they're the biggest team outside of the original top six to push for top four, including Aston Villa as well. I honestly think I put them above Villa now in terms of just because of the football they're playing. I know Emery's probably a better manager, but the football they're playing is just incredible. And 4-0, they beat Man United and they beat draw against Arsenal. That's a decent start of that. And I think what's happening at Brighton is this is what happens when owners back them right and trust the manager is want to improve every single season. Right. You got 6th, 7th here. Here's some more players, go even one better next season. And they've spent really well this summer, Brighton. Absolutely amazing.
They always do.
I mean, the Minty signing was class.
Yeah.
Yes, I do think I put them now just above Villa in terms of pushing for that top four. I'm being serious as well when I say top four because Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, Villa.
Yeah, all inconsistent.
Brighton's better than all of them right now.
Yeah, no, it's right. It's true. It's true. I think Brighton have always been that team that love to recruit really, really well. And I think they'll go on to do that. Their model that they use, the scouting model, is brilliant, and they're playing some amazing football. I kind of agree with you with the Villa thing as well, because obviously Villa now in the Champions League, I do think that might be a big stretch for Villa this season. That might surprise me and do something completely out the norm, get to the final, semi-final. Can't see that, but if they did, the longer they're in it, obviously it's going to impact how they finish in the league as well. So I do look at Brighton. They're a weird one because I can see where you're coming from, but it only takes for them to lose 3 or 4 games and they go on a bad run of games, and then you don't see them win a game till after Christmas or something stupid. So we need to see that consistency a bit more with them, I think. But I do see a lot of proof in there that they can definitely finish at least in the top 6, at least. That push.